Easter is this weekend, and for most people it's a holiday, a long weekend. Maybe a church service if you're the type, maybe just chocolate eggs and a family dinner. But there's a gap that most people can feel, even if they can't name it. A gap between celebrating Easter and actually experiencing what Easter points to. People gather, they utter old words and formulas out of habit, they go through the motions, but there is no inner earnestness behind any of it. The word Easter has become an empty phrase, a mist people raise before their own eyes to avoid thinking about what the festival actually requires of them. Because Easter requires something, the Passion of Christ, every event, from the washing of the feet to the crucifixion to the empty tomb, is not only describing what happened to one man in Palestine 2,000 years ago, it is describing something that can happen to you, not in the sentimental way, not Easter lives in your heart, in the literal way, as in there is a practice map to each event of the Passion, and if you do them, something changes in you permanently. How you experience suffering, how you hold conviction, how you relate to your own body, how you perceive the earth itself. These practices are hidden inside the Gospel of St. John. They've been there for 2,000 years, but people forgot they were instructions. They started reading the blueprint as a painting. Holy Week is the most potent time to begin this work. The earth's own rhythms make it so. But the path itself is not seasonal. It exists year-round. It is always available, and it reshapes life. In 1908, in Hamburg, a man named Rudolf Steiner gave 12 lectures on the Gospel of St. John. His audience is worth understanding, because they might sound familiar. They were people who had left the church, not because they had lost interest in spiritual reality, the opposite, because they could no longer find spiritual reality inside institutional religion. They wanted the living truth of Christianity, not the Sunday performance of it, and they felt they had a right to reach that truth through other means. Steiner agreed with them, and then he made a claim that reframed the entire gospel. He said it was different from Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Those three described the historical life of Jesus from the outside, his lineage, his compassion, his power. The Gospel of St. John was written by the most deeply initiated disciple, the one Christ himself initiated, and it describes the inner experience from the inside. The events it depicts are real. They happened historically, but they are simultaneously a description of inner experiences available to every human being. What the Gospel presents as biography is also a map. The ancient mystery temples knew this map. For thousands of years before Christ, candidates for initiation were taken into temples, placed in a death-like sleep for 3.5 days, and guided through the same sequence of inner trials, the temptation, the death, the resurrection, behind closed doors, in a dimmed, dreamlike state of consciousness. What the mystery of Golgotha did was take that hidden process and enact it on the stage of world history, in full waking consciousness. The secret became public. The instructions were written into the gospel, but somewhere along the way, people stopped looking for the practice inside the text. They read the surface, they memorized the story, and the instructions sat there, untouched, for 2,000 years. There are 7 stages. Each one corresponds to an event in the Passion. Each one cultivates a specific feeling, and each feeling, when practiced deeply enough, doesn't just produce a spiritual experience, it becomes a permanent capacity, a second nature, something that changes how you move through the world for the rest of your life. I'm not going to walk through all 7 in full detail. These are practices that need to be sat with, not rushed through. But I want to give you the feeling of what this path asks, because it asks something very specific, and it builds. The first stage is the washing of the feet. Most people think this is about humility. Christ kneels before his disciples, washes their feet, and the lesson is, be humble, serve others. That's not wrong, but it's shallow. Steiner described a cosmic law underneath this act. Look at a plant. It grows out of mineral soil. If that plant could feel, it would have to bow to the stone beneath it and say, without you, I could not exist. You are lower than me, but I owe you everything. The animal would bow to the plant, the human to the animal. And Christ, the highest being to ever walk the known earth, bows to the 12 disciples, not out of performance, out of structural recognition. The higher exists because the lower carries it. Think about that in your own life. You ate this morning, did you thank the animal that died for it, the plant that grew for it, the minerals in the soil that fed the roots of the tree that gave you that apple, the rain that fell so the grain could rise? Everything you consume exists because something lower on the chain of life gave itself so you could stand where you stand. When was the last time you felt genuine gratitude flowing downward? Not to God, not to the universe, but to the soil. This isn't a one-time meditation. Steiner said this feeling must become the basic feeling for anyone on a spiritual path. You immerse yourself in it for weeks, months, years, until it transforms your entire relationship with the world. It must be present everywhere, in how you interact with nature, with other people, with the earth itself. The second stage is the scourging. Imagine all the suffering of the world pressing against you at once, not just your own pain, the pain of everyone. Physical suffering, moral suffering, spiritual suffering, all of it rushing toward you from every side, like a weight bearing down from all directions simultaneously, and you stand upright within it, not by gritting your teeth or by numbing yourself, not by looking away. You find a posture inside yourself that holds firm, even as all the misery of the world bears down on you, not because you are untouched by it, but because something in you has learned to meet it without being destroyed by it. This is different from ordinary endurance. Ordinary endurance involves suppressed frustration, survival, pushing through. This stage asks you to open yourself to the heavy strokes of life, and recognize that strength is gained exclusively through resistance. Without the trials, the soul forces necessary for development would never form. The scourging blows of life are not obstacles to your growth, they are the source of it. That's not a belief, it's a feeling. And when it becomes second nature, your relationship to suffering permanently changes. You stop being consumed by pain and start being informed by it. Pleasure and pain become, as Steiner put it, eyes and ears of the soul. The third stage, the Crown of Thorns, will be familiar to anyone who has ever carried a genuine spiritual conviction in a world that doesn't share it. You hold something sacred, a practice, a knowing, a relationship with the divine that lives beneath all your doubt, and someone mocks it. Usually not even a stranger, but rather someone you respect, someone you love. They look at the thing you hold most holy, and they laugh. Does your inner life belong to you, or does it belong to the opinion of others? This stage asks you to feel the sting and hold the conviction anyway, not with anger or with defiance, but with quiet certainty. The thorns press in, the knowing doesn't break. The remaining stages move into territory that is harder to convey in words. Steiner himself said the final stage literally cannot be described in language. The crucifixion asks you to feel your body as something you carry rather than something you are, not becoming disassociated from it or fleeing it, but calm recognition. My body is mine, but it is not me. You carry it the way you carry your coat. The mystic death is the most intense. A black curtain falls over the entire visible world. Everything you rely on disappears. In total darkness, you are brought face to face with the root of all suffering, all evil, all sorrow. Steiner called it the descent into hell, not a place, a confrontation. And on the other side of that darkness, when the curtain tears, the spiritual world becomes visible for the first time. The interment. You feel yourself dissolve into the earth. Your body does not end at the skin. You are laid within the planet. The earth is not dead matter beneath you. It is a living body, and you belong to it. Saturday, silence, no practice. The tomb is empty, and Easter Sunday, the Ascension. Steiner said only this: it surpasses anything the human being can possibly conceive. There are no words for it, because all words belong to the physical plane. If you have honestly followed the 6 stages, something is different this morning. You will know it, or you will not. Either way, it has begun. So who is this for? Do you need to be Christian? Do you need to already be on a spiritual path? Do you need to believe in Christ? Steiner's answer might surprise you. He said the mystery of Golgotha is an objective cosmic fact. It happened for all of humanity, not just for Christians, not just for believers. For Hindus, Buddhists, atheists, agnostics, Muslims, everyone. The physical transformation it produced in the earth and in the human body applies to every person who has ever lived, regardless of whether they know about it or acknowledge it. He considered it narrow-mindedness to want to force Christian dogma onto the world. He said true open-mindedness means recognizing the beginnings of the Christ impulse in the depths of a Hindu or a Buddhist, without ever needing to mention the name of Christ. But while the cosmic event happened for everyone, the soul transformation requires conscious participation. You have to actually walk the path. You have to do the work. The event happened whether you believe in it or not. but its fruits in your inner life depend entirely on whether you engage with it. And the path doesn't require a guru, a temple, or a secret society. Steiner was emphatic about this. Before Golgotha, initiation required a priest to suppress your ego and guide you through the experience in a temple sleep. After Golgotha, the process was brought into the open. You can walk it in full waking consciousness, alone, in your own room. He said the simplest person can walk this path, anyone with an honest craving for truth, even through what he called simple piety. If a person penetrates deeply enough into their own being, they will find Christ there, because he descended into those very depths for all of humanity. Now these stages are most potent during Holy Week. The earth has rhythms, like breathing. In spring, it breathes its soul forces out into the cosmos, and during this exhalation, the Christ impulse comes closest to us. Easter is set by the stars, not a calendar, the first Sunday after the first full moon, after the spring equinox. It's cosmic timing. But the stages themselves are not seasonal. They are a year-round path. Steiner said the student must practice daily, at the same hour, just as the sun sends its forces at the same time each spring. For some people, results come in weeks or months. For others, years. For some, Steiner said, it takes 7 incarnations. The only requirement is patience and persistence. This is not a one-week program. It is a permanent transformation of the soul. Holy Week is the doorway. What's on the other side is the rest of your life. Everything I've described comes from one lecture cycle. GA 103, Hamburg, 1908. The 7 stages of Christian initiation based on the Gospel of St. John. But Steiner didn't stop in 1908. Over the next 15 years, across more than a dozen additional lecture cycles, he revealed layers beneath these 7 stages that changed the entire picture. He described what actually rose from the tomb on Easter morning, and it was not what anyone expected. He described events in the life of Christ that are recorded in no gospel, not Matthew, not Mark, not Luke, not John. Events read from the spiritual memory of the earth itself. He described what happened to the earth, not to the people on it, to the earth itself, as a living being. At the exact moment the blood flowed from the cross. He revealed a second path to the same destination, running through nature and alchemy rather than through feeling. And he explained a claim that sounds impossible until you sit with it, that without the event of Golgotha, the human race would have physically died out, that something in us was already pulling away from the earth, toward the sun, and without what happened on that cross, we would have simply left. We put together a guide for this. The free version gives you the 7 evening practices, 1 per night, Palm Sunday through Easter, based on the stages I've just described. That's free, link in the description. For the deeper layers, the hidden history, the cosmic architecture, what actually rose from the tomb, guided meditations for each stage, material drawn from 14 Steiner lecture cycles, compiled into a practice for the first time. We built an extended experience at Thalira.com, multiple tiers depending on how deep you want to go. Both links are below. Steiner described the modern human being as a kind of hermit in the cosmos. Cut off, looking up at the stars and seeing only physics, looking at the earth and seeing only dirt, surrounded by unimaginable richness and feeling, inexplicably empty. He said society is filled with torn souls who do not know what to do with life, who keep asking what their purpose is and never finding an answer. That emptiness is not because something is missing from the world. It's because something is missing from how we perceive it. 2,000 years ago, a process that had been hidden in temples for millennia was brought into the open. The instructions were written into a gospel. They mapped onto a week that comes around every single year, and they produce capacities that don't fade when the week ends. They become part of who you are. The Gospel of St. John is not a painting, it's a blueprint, and the building it describes is you.